From Jarrod Bowen hat-tricks, game week 29 being established, and some key personnel in terms of assets being injured, some managers have gone early on their wild card. But have one of our panel members gone and done that themselves? All to be found out on tonight's edition of the FPL Addicts podcast. Let's get Addicts, and to our audience, good morning, good evening to you wherever you may be around the planet tuning in. We got a bumper edition, to say the least, and in this installment I am joined by one of my favourite co-hosts to do the podcast alongside with in FPL Addicts. Reedy, good morning to you. We've got a crazy good 12 game weeks to go.
Yeah, morning. Well, we always forget this. I think you always forget it's morning here. I always forget it's nighttime there whenever we come on live, and it's just the way it is. But yeah, good evening to yourself, mate. We have got 12 game weeks to go, and it's just always gets to this point when we realise, oh my God, like, where's the season gone? But yeah, things are hotting up. There's a lot of blanks to talk about. There's a lot of potential doubles to talk about, and obviously we've got this game week. So let's dive in, mate. I'm doing well, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you're well too.
Yeah, Rudy, welcome back onto the podcast. And speaking of a season of itself, before we go on to our agenda points when it's needed, have you enjoyed this season, and how much, if so? Has it been one of your favourite seasons to be a part of as an engaged manager?
I don't know if that question's kind of like rank relating to rank kind of thing, because I guess
it's not really just engagement or the way people talk about their styles.
I guess so. I mean, like if I didn't enjoy it, like kind of like, why would I play it? And if I didn't enjoy it, it's just part of loving football and loving this game. So I think, yes, I have enjoyed it. I'm still looking forward to getting a higher rank, doing well in mini leagues, all that sort of good stuff. And, the landscape can change so quickly, and as it has at the minute, we found out from FA Cups. And I think that we always try and plan, but, you never know what the outcome's going to be. Obviously, we can all predict it and all plan it. So that's the best part about it. I am enjoying this season, to answer your question sort of directly. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to what's to come, mate. What about you? I'll throw that question back to yourself, Chazza. What do you think?
This is good. I think having started playing the game in 2015-16, the first proper season I took seriously in 16-17, I think this is the best in terms of everyone's got different ways of going about their own side and when they're going to play their chips. I feel there's been a lot of differentials that have come about, and it seems there's been a big bunch of game weeks this season where the differentials have shined big time. Yeah. For example, last week, especially with the Crystal Palace boys, in their 3-0 win at home to Burnley. We'll get to the fixtures very shortly. But I just feel it's been amazing. I think you've always got opportunities every week to try and delve into some interesting players. And now with a double game week, two of the title contenders having done so, injuries galore. And now we've got the usual blanks now. And that would be fun, won't it?
Yeah. And I think the perfect thing to do is, I say the perfect thing to do, unless you've got other plans, Chaz, is maybe look at some of those results from last week, right?
Yes, let's do that for sure. Right in front of me. I think this is what you want from game week 26. Reedy, any big results here, implications-wise, for fantasy managers?
Well, I think the first game at the top is the one. I think a lot of people were in positions, myself included, before the FA Cup games. We wanted to plan for 29 with it being a blank, whether you had a free hit or you didn't. You just want to get more players out there. And a certain Mr. Huang He-chan was the huge topic of discussion on FPL Twitter. It was almost, actually, I'll wait till the Wolves game, as in to kind of touch upon that one. But yeah, that was kind of a decision. Do we go for Hwang? Do we go for another Villa mid? If you've got Watkins and maybe a defender and all that sort of stuff. It just so happened to be that Mr. Douglas Luiz was the highest point scorer for Villa, getting 2 goals, bonus. Bailey chipped in there with a goal and assist as well, if people went there, kind of thing. So, yeah, relevance in that sense that Villa are still up there in the football terms, still doing really well this season, in for Champions League spots. And also in FPL, as in whether you pick those Villa guys or not. I mean, Douglas Luiz, is he going to be a popular pick? Is he attacking enough? I mean, he's he plays a defensive mid and he still manages to get on a score sheet, Chadwell.
He's got penalties and the position that you've said on him is spot on. But I feel he's a flat track bully in a lot of respects. And taking into account how well he's performed this season, he's similar to an Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon's had 88 points from his home games this season. I'm sure Douglas Luiz isn't that far off. He's had 3 double-digit hauls in his last 4 home games.
Yeah.
So he's away from home in 29. Does that have an implication for him in terms of his ceiling?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that in a way. So the stat that you mentioned there, sorry, did you say that Gordon's had 88 points from home games?
88 of his own points have come from home games.
His points, wow. So, I mean, I think Douglas Luiz would probably be pretty close, maybe better. They're both on, I think there's a 9-point difference or 10-point difference between them. I think they're on 120 odd points.
Not far off.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, 4-2, Villa got the win. People got returns. So it definitely had some relevance and so on. But that's my kind of take on that one. What about you? Palace? Yeah. Fulham? Do we own any of those? Do we own any players from those teams? I don't know.
No, I don't actually think that's the biggest surprise packet for me, because I feel BT Man United would have been for the taking. Now, unlucky in their first fixture, Craven Cottage, early in the season. Wolves, probably in terms of our assets, I did consider it, but I think it's the last one, mainly due to Jared Bowen scoring a hat trick.
Yeah.
I thought this is big for the options of Game Week 29. I think are more informed generally in the game as to players from sides that are blanking.
I don't know. I mean, if you were going into this game, right, on the Monday, it was the last game of the game week. Your points may have not looked great because a lot of people probably had, a mixture of Wolves and I think was it Chelsea as well. They didn't play, Spurs didn't play, Liverpool didn't play, so people were kind of left with Arsenal, City. City only won 1-0 against Bournemouth, a little underwhelming. So there wasn't really many returns out there generally. So people would have been going into that last game, if you've got Bowen, please give me something. And did he? Jesus, he only went in and scored a hat-trick. So I think it is great in that sense, but also people will be kind of going, all right, well, I've got a player there that plays in 29. He's capable of scoring hat-tricks or getting returns. Happy days, And this is the thing. Lots of people have sold Bowen at one point as well. But yeah, he comes back with a... Do you know what? I always slate Jared Bowen because I always say he just ticks over. He just gets his 7 or 8 points, might get a goal. What does he do? He absolutely smashes it.
He does. Let's speak about some managers who have half smashed it this year, definitely not smashed it, and some who are pretty close to smashing it. Let's go to our podcast league.
A lot of smashing, right?
Ollie's side, 44. What I like about this is that he's got more pay and he scored. That's it.
Yeah, strange one, right?
This is jammy stuff. Lamptey playing a whole hour and getting his clean sheet.
Yeah. You got some jam there. You got points from Mope. You got points from Lamptey. Not really picks that most people would go for. Robinson, another one. I can see where I think Ollie did he wildcard last week. Was it last week? Just check it on it. I think it was last week.
I will. Yeah, it would have wildcarded him. Yeah.
Oh no, it was game week. Actually, it was game week 23.
Yeah, interesting time.
So it's a little bit earlier, but if we go back to his team as well, Chaz, I kind of think he's done that with 29 in mind, but
yeah, he's building for 29.
I don't really know. Yeah, because I think Ollie might have used his free hit, but he'll have 1, 2, 3.
He's got 6
4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. And obviously transfers in the meantime, so potentially. But yeah, what was his score overall? 40.
44.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
This is strange, our scores, because 2 people have scored 44, 2 people have scored 50, 1 has scored 48, 1 has scored 55, which is you. We'll get to. And you've been, I think, a manager of a month in our league. Very impressive track record recently from you, Rady.
Yeah, I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and all that.
That's correct. And oh my God, Rady. Oh, sorry, Rev, I meant. So he got 50, but took a negative 12 hit.
I mean,
I shouldn't laugh at other managers, but
I don't know, like whether it's because he's an Everton fan. I mean, he's nailed it with the Branthwaite finally. I mean,
right, call that.
You know what? Right. Rev's big thing this season, Mikey's big thing has been bench Everton, bench Newcastle, the whole, and he loses the points and just sits there looking at them thinking, why? Now, on this occasion, he's actually got a bit, well, he's played Branthwaite, got 9, and he's benched the Newcastle guy, which was a -2, which saved him from getting points docked off like his team. So fair play to him in all that sort of sense. I mean, the KDB move's obviously not worked out, but that's the same for a lot of people who went for him. 50 points with a -12. Mikey's not going to feel like he's got anywhere in that sense. So yeah, Branthwaite 9 points was definitely needed for him.
I think he's just grateful that De Bruyne came on for 16 minutes away at Bournemouth, but only to get
to stop the Botman. Yeah, to stop the Botman.
Yeah. But can I ask you, have you ever taken a negative 12 ever as a fantasy manager? I've taken a negative 8 when I rage transferred in 2017, but that's it.
I may have. I say once or twice. I feel like I'd be lying if I said that, but it's not something I would ever do very often. I'll tell you that much. The only way I'd do it is if, I don't know, there's doubles like double game week, and there's a huge double game week where I've gone actually a -12 there. I'm hoping to get a huge score, and then that way it'll actually work out fine. I don't know if on a normal game week I could take a -12. I just, it's big, man. It's too big. Yeah, I
like the Neto shout from him. I hope he gets a bit of luck.
Yeah, Neto's a fine pick in FPL. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Still looks dangerous. He's capable of getting a return, even if it is small. It all obviously contributes. But obviously they've got Hwang out potentially, and Cunha's out at the minute. I don't think he's out for long, but it does make it a little bit more difficult then for Neto to get returns with less firepower for Wolves. Yeah. So on to
Jack's team, and I can't lie, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It looks like quinoa, but I'm just going to call him quinoa down back with a big 8-pointer. That was huge, and got the goal as well.
Yeah, it did well. Got his goal, got himself on the bonus. Didn't he? Kiwa.
The only guy at the moment, but not less than 1%. That's good. 4.3 million.
He's really low ownership, but I'll also say that when I did see that, I checked Jack's team, whether it was during. After the deadline, before the games were played, or during the games, and I seen it picked him, and I was thinking, like, of all the people to go for, like, I was not expecting him to pick him. So he's absolutely nailed that one. Fair play to Jack. He's not took a minus either. Used his 2 transfers, and it's paid off for him. So yeah.
Before we get to the other top half, of course, with your side first up, I just want to go briefly through the comments and acknowledge who's tuning in. So, Veteran, I know you've responded already, Reedy. Good morning, and how we are going fantastic. Thank you. It is the Dorito of Death season. You're not wrong, Gary, on that front. Colm, as always, probably one of our top fans. Thank you very much for tuning in. And John David as well. And we will get to Chips later on. Do you want to answer this now, Reedy, or wait till later?
We'll wait. We'll hold off a bit. I know he's keen. I know John's keen, and that's we will definitely discuss it because it has to be discussed now. We know the outcomes of the FA Cup, and there's a huge Hull in the amount of fixtures in game week 29. So yeah, we'll definitely cover that, John. -12. Oh my God, from Gary. Yeah. I mean,
it's like from a Home Alone movie.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It becomes very difficult. There's someone else I'm in a mini league with, and they started off the season badly, and what happened was they were taking large hits, but they were paying off.
Yeah,
and I think that it's very difficult for them to pay off. You have got to literally. It doesn't even come down to planning really, because if you're doing that on a week by week basis, you're literally just going to be looking to gain in that week, and then the same again next week and so on. So for it to pay off, you have got to get lucky. You have got to make the right calls and so on. And I think Rev lately might have been just getting a bit too hit happy. Yeah, I hope it's not the case, and he ends up like doing well for the rest of the season. But it's always going to be up against. You're always going to be up against it if you're taking hits, big hits anyway. Yeah.
Ready? Your time to matter on the dance floor.
Speaking of hits, I brought in a Hwang Hee-chan last week for a -4 instead of Bailey. What am I doing? It was between him and Bailey, and I went for Chan. I went for the fixture. And as I say, when we were talking about fixtures before, Wolves won 1-0 against Sheffield United. And I think, people were definitely thinking that Wolves would win that with about 3 goals minimum. So, yeah, he got injured before he got injured. There was a scare before the warm-up. Apparently,
Did he about that?
Yeah, he's rolled his ankle. People, FPL Twitter were nearly losing their minds. Then he played and basically did nothing. Kept it clean, so he got an extra point. Woohoo! If you captained Hwang last week, you're probably thinking, well, what am I doing? But yeah, so Moreno -1. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. Concedes 2, gets a yellow, goes off. No clean sheets from the defence. It's going back to a few weeks ago, isn't it, Chazza, where we were just looking at defences going, this is just crap. Like, what is going on?
I don't like defenders this year. I really don't.
The one thing yeah, exactly. I was literally about to say the one thing I'm grateful for in these points that I got are Pascal Gross's, because not only has he been taking over late, he's been doing great. He's been almost like a poor man's Kevin De Bruyne. Everton looked destined to get a 1-0 win away at Brighton. And then Pascal Gross does the defender twice, cuts back to his left, pops it onto Lewis Dunk's head. So, yeah, got himself bonus as well. So, 55, solid enough in, all considering.
Oh, for sure. Great score. Elliot with 44. Still doesn't have Haaland in his side. But look, may miss in the Manchester derby, but I think from game week 30 onwards, I'd be curious to know to see if he gets him in. Watkins' captain actually worked out really well for him. I will admit, MNA Gross. Foden.
I feel like Watkins was ignored as a captain pick by a lot of people last week because, I think one thing was people already owned him. 2 people were then bringing him in as well. So it almost felt like, well, why would a captain Watkins when I can just go for Haaland? If you had Haaland against Bournemouth, who you think in City are just going to, smash. It didn't pan out that way, and it turned out that Watkins was actually the better captain choice. Unless you went Saka, obviously. I mean, Saka was another good one, but Watkins was, just as good.
Yeah, I felt of all the podcast members, Elliot had the best captain last game week in Ollie Watkins because majority of us went to Erling Haaland, which is the same with me. I ended up on 50 points. Nothing too spectacular. Saka coming in as a transfer in really helped. He got 10. Foden, Watkins, and look, there was not much boom about the boom power on Saturday, I will admit. It was looking good. But if soccer games lasted for 45 minutes, I would have probably been in the running for manager of the week because Burnley started conceding with 25 minutes ago and Villa, absolute donkey behaviour, concede one just before halftime.
Yeah, the POW was more like, I don't know, what's the opposite of POW? Yeah, just basically nothing there, like poof, more like the poof, like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The points just disappeared and went poof. He ended up on a 1-pointer, which actually I think is better than than what you could have got.
Yeah, but he got subbed off for half time.
Yeah, but he ended, and a player goes out. I think the only thing that's been worse than that this season was a Stupinan, which was that against Villa, funnily enough. Ended up with a -2 or something, and it's just that's the luck side of FPL though, Chaz. Right, you went for a pick that you thought was good. I remember you doing the transfer live as well. You were pretty stoked, as you'd say, to do that.
Oh yeah, just had some good rings about it, and one-liners from different song titles. That's the only thing I was excited about in regard to the transfer.
Yeah, but what's your Gary said it. I mean, actually, we'll wait till later for that, because I think straight away I thought, what's your plan for him moving forward? But I guess with the presses today, you're going to wait and see what the injury stuff is. So we can talk about it in a bit when you your team and stuff.
We will.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's going to be a solid discussion, I hope. As just before we go into the other mini leagues like we usually do every week, Reedy, give me and the audience watching what your assessment was on the cup results. Were they the outcomes you were expecting?
Well, they were the most probable outcomes, in terms of what was expected, which basically meant that we'd end up with a limited amount of fixtures for 29. I did expect there to be a shock, though. I think the United Forest game, I didn't watch it personally, but I know that from speaking to United fan, they weren't great. They scored right near the end, obviously, as well. So that had been going to extra time and so on. Chelsea Leeds did have a real go at Chelsea, considering they weren't playing their best players. I mean, Chelsea did the same. They benched Gallagher, Palmer and stuff. But Leeds did have a chance, and same again. Chelsea got the goal right near the end. Liverpool was comfortable. I just thought with the Bournemouth result going the way it did the night before, Leicester won that one. I almost thought it was set up for Brighton to go and win that, and then we got the fixture of Bournemouth Wolves in 29. So, it just didn't work out. And I think that's what I say. There was not really any shocks on the Wednesday night, which was the one where people expected it. So we are where we are now. And it's chip strategies. It's do you just go with how many players you've got, etc. But yeah, over to the mini league.
Jojo up top with a good 70 points last game week, leading now by 30 points. And it felt as many years ago that Stephen Smalley was rocking the top. We'll have a look at his team, of course. 70 points, very impressive. Ruben Diaz at the back with a clean sheet away at Bournemouth. You felt it was a gimme. But I think this is the absolute gem. Let's have a few words on this. Sarabia, he nailed it. Seriously did. What a pick.
Yeah. I almost feel like Sarabia is getting to that point where he needs his own song, like Saliba. It sounds a bit similar, his name, but yeah, I mean, he's the difficult thing about picking him. He takes up a midfield spot, but then again, if you're going to go for someone, you go for Neto or Hwang. They're the popular picks per se, and then you just pull this gem out there and go for Sarabia, who nails a 10-pointer. He could have had actually more than that as well. So fair play to him.
Stephen Smalley did have a good week, in fairness, finishing on with 74 points. Sufau assists, which is huge.
Smashing
Douglas Luiz and Mateta. That was a good fixture. Nailed it.
It was. Did Smalley take a hit for that one, or did he?
No, he didn't. Nah.
Wow. No transfers.
No, he played a wild card.
Oh, he did. Oh, yeah. How did I miss that? So he's played his wild card. Interesting. Douglas Luiz, great pick. Mateta. I am scratching my head a bit on that one because I know he wasn't to know this because Newcastle didn't play till Tuesday. So that could have been extra player for 29. Smalley might even be free hitting in 29 for all we know. But is this a wild card team that you think I know he's got a great score, I suppose, Chazza, but would you have picked some of these players in a wild card? Like Mateta's the standout guy, right? But then
you probably wouldn't. But in fairness, Blackburn got close to upsetting Newcastle. Makes sense with Region. But double Bournemouth defence is a bit intriguing. I know I've got definitely attacking double game with 28. That's what he's doing. Is he? I don't even know. It's like Pep. Mind games.
But I think, surely on this one, if he did wild card, then Bowen would have actually been a great pick, right? because he plays in 29 and so on. But then again, look who he's got on his bench, third bench there, right? He's he's planned that one for these next 3 plays in 29. Great fixtures beforehand. So yeah, great score from him. To be fair, I don't think we can knock that too much.
Yeah, that's right for sure. Brighton, now they've got a big injury list. Have you got concerns for them? Moving forward, especially which Ash sets to target outside of Pascal Gross?
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm in a position where I've got Gross and he doesn't play in 29, but he's got great fixtures in the meantime. I mean, I suppose it is all team dependent. You know, like we all kind of talk about what we'd like to do and what we'd like to plan and so on, but depending on what your team's looking like, you know, certain players you've kind of got to keep. I can understand why. I mean, Gary's actually said it there in terms of you have to play your chips right. I know that he's 100% right in that sense. But obviously, at times during an FPL season, you might make the wrong choice, or you know, whether it be a transfer, play a chip. Like we all played. Well, a lot of us played triple captain for the City double, and it was, you know, all fart no poo, wasn't it? So literally, yeah. So like, it is team dependent. Say, so if people have got players in the team that they don't necessarily want, like, or I know someone who had like Doku, Rashford, these sort of players, and you've got injuries, you know, you might be then more, more willing to kind of play that wild card or more tempted. So yeah, I say, yeah, it's kind of like team dependent, I guess, right?
It certainly has epitomised that term for this season. With the Women's League, it's a similar story. Jojo is also topped by a margin of 35 points at the minute. Very interested to see how it all finishes up here. We'll be tuning into this on a weekly basis, to say the least. But Jojo is the person to catch. That's the safe words.
Is Jojo top of both leagues then?
Jojo's top of both leagues, yeah.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. What is this? The Women's League? Oh my God. She's absolutely smashed it. Absolutely.
She is. It's not long to go now until the end of the season. But what we have got is the Game Week 27 fixtures.
Not long to go to the end of the season, Chaz. We've got 12 games, man. What are you talking about? Oh, God. Don't kill it. Don't kill the joy already. Come on, man. If we had 4 weeks left, I'd say, yeah, I agree. But like, there's plenty of action left. Don't you worry about that.
That's a good shout. It feels the season has gone quick. Game Week 27, Reedy. This is the only 10 match game week within the space of 4 game weeks.
Yeah, and what an action-packed Saturday we've got as well. I think is there's about 3 p.m. kickoffs. Then we've got Villa as the 5:30 kickoff as well. So what a great Saturday. I think most people's teams will be, most people's players will be playing on that Saturday, barring City, maybe even obviously Solanke if he's fit and so on. And then Arsenal play on Monday against Sheffield United, which I'm sure you as an Arsenal fan will be licking your lips based on how many goals you're scoring past teams at the minute, Chazza.
It's been a sensational start to the new year. But when you refer to the term most players will be playing on Saturday, unfortunately, that term can't be agreed for some sides because I got 6 of my 11 players after the Saturday games.
Fair enough then. I think 9 might be like 8 or 9 maybe, but I guess if you've got 3 City and you've got a Bournemouth,
Solanke, and then double Arsenal.
And then double, there we go. Yeah. So.
Oh, and Charlie Taylor, but he's on the bench, so he doesn't count.
Oh, no one cares about him. I mean, if you've got if you've got Solanke, then surely you want him to do better, don't you? But yeah.
Jeez, yeah, we will talk about him at the moment. Reedy, standout fixture in your eyes. What is it going to be?
Oh God, I mean, it has to be just based on rivalry, just based on the occasion. And a game that you actually went to, right, this season at home in the reverse.
Yeah, these are the reverse fixtures. I remember that. Yeah,
Man City v Man United is the big one. I mean, Is it the big one anymore in terms of that Man City are better than Man United and should absolutely batter them? No. But in terms of on paper and looking at all of those fixtures, I don't think there's one in particular that kind of trumps it. It's the best fixture out of the lot. So yeah, that one. And if you've got Triple City, if you've got KDB, this could be the week. We've seen what happened in the FA Cup midweek. 5 goals for Haaland, just five, 4 De Bruyne assists, as you do. And I'm sure as a De Bruyne owner, Chazza, you're hoping that he starts that game, no?
I hope he does. He's got a 5-day break after his cup game. But he didn't get subbed off early, and that's what brings a wave of anxiety for current De Bruyne owners. The game I'm looking forward to, we will get to De Bruyne because he's a discussion point in a few minutes. Tottenham Crystal Palace is one I'm looking at because it seems Palace under Oliver Glasner really wants to implement an attacking philosophy. Spurs just attack every game. They can't defend to save their lives. I think this could be a probable 3-1 or 3-2 win to Tottenham. But Palace get a consolation goal from Jordan Ayew, who scores a worldie.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick 2 other games, I probably would go for maybe Spurs Palace just because of the new manager bounce that we've got. New manager for Palace and the type of football he wants to play, the pressing football and so on, which we didn't really see under Hodgson. Spurs, as you say, just attack. They've got a lot of their players kind of back, pending on Porro, say. But Maddison's there. There is rumours about Richarlison maybe getting injured in training, but Son's back, So that should be a good game. And then the one after that for me, I probably would say it'd be Luton Villa.
Yeah.
Not even on paper. I think just as a neutral, I think FPL-wise, people have players from each of those teams. Luton generally are good, apart from that Sheffield United blunder. At home, they are good. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see the outcome of that one because that could have a impact on Villa's Champions League if Luton end up winning that game. That's it for me. Other than that, though, Chazza, any Fulham Brighton maybe, as I think Colm's mentioned, or Everton West Ham, Brentford Chelsea. I mean, any of these other games that kind of stand out or that you're excited to kind of own players for?
Yeah, actually. Cole Palmer away at Brentford, but Brentford has such a good record against the Blues. And in fairness, Chelsea haven't scored 2 or more goals against Brentford in a single match, professional match with points on offer, for 7 years.
Okay. So we're basically saying Chelsea win.
I don't know, but Phil Yeah.
I mean, it's if it was a Brentford early kickoff, I'd maybe say that Brentford could win that, but
no, it's not.
It's not. I do think Chelsea will probably have enough to win that game. I do know that I think Mbeumo's not far away.
Not far.
Maybe too soon for this one, yeah. But they've got Tony. They're at home. Would you be surprised if that's just a draw? Probably not.
Wouldn't be, no.
I think one game in terms of after what's just happened with Jared Bowen, getting a hat-trick against Brentford, funnily enough. Surely as a Bowen owner, right, you'd be licking your lips at the fact that he's playing Everton and Paqueta's there now. Kudus is there. West Ham always look better with those 2 in attack. Do you think Everton keep it clean?
I think it'll be a draw. 1-1.
Score draw?
I think Kudus scores in this sort of game. Bowen, if lucky, gets an assist.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Any plans to get Jared Brandwaite in your team this season?
This season, maybe from game week 30 onwards, but not right now. I don't feel it's the right time because you'll find out why when it comes to our chip strategies and the teams that we've set up. And that's what I'm excited about. But as to mark a little mini intermission on this pod, we've got to say hello to a few people. Karan, thank you for tuning in. Matt Boxvine, the absolute governor himself. Gary, if you got one play, you may as well free hit and just go and have fun for the next 2 weeks. And probably have fun in the free hit. But it's so interesting because I feel people may be building similar teams. Do you feel that's a fair statement for 29 regardless or not?
If you free hit, in 29, it's almost like that thing of what are you gaining, because you're going to have the same team as everyone else who's free hitting and so on. The advantage of not using it and navigating with like 7 players, if you can get there, maybe 8, is you can use that free hit when there's potentially a big double game week, whether it be 34, 37, if you want to save it till that late. Obviously, we've still got big teams left in the FA Cup. United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea are in there. So these sort of teams are going to have an impact on doubles and so on. So, I can see why people don't necessarily want to use it, because they don't think it's the right strategy, or you don't gain enough from it per se. So I'm not kind of against people who want to save that chip, to be honest. I mean, if you're in a position where you just go, I'm going to have 2 players, I either use a free hit, get full 11, or I just go with 4 players and just take it. It's going to be a red arrow. How do you kind of see it or feel about it, Chazza, generally?
Well, Gaming 29, you and Blue World just come up. But he's just such a laughing stock. It's just so terrible. Why do we need to put up this one glorified weekend of top flight football and we get this carnage on display? What do I think of it? I feel so 5's a tricky number. If you've got 5 players who play in Blade Game Week 29, you can do free hit, or you can try your best to build potentially up to 9 with a -4 hit, or 8 with no hit at all. Might be okay if you pick the right players. If you've got 6 or more, I reckon build for Game Week 29 with free hits and save that free hit chip for later.
So when you say build for 29 with free hits, do you mean taking a hit?
Free transfers, I should have said.
Free transfers, and then maybe 1 hit, like a -4 if you need to get 1 extra player, something like that.
Yeah, I just feel that it's okay to take a hit in Game Week 29 because you're more likely to transfer out that guy who's not playing at all. So you have a greater chance of making up that hit in the short term, as opposed to Game Week 28. It will be a good amount of traffic getting rid of Man City assets, which is fair on the free transfer. But if you're doing it on a -4, there is a bit of risk involved because they could still produce.
I think the biggest problem is we've got a double game week next week, right? In Game Week 28.
Yeah.
City players play Liverpool, which by no means, by the way, I'm saying that's necessarily a bad fixture for them. It is at Anfield, so it makes it less appealing as such.
There we go.
And then they blank in 29, right? So they then also play Arsenal. So you make of that what you will. Do you then sell Haaland? Do you sell Foden, stuff like that? But what you do know is, because City are City and they've got a pretty decent run in, you're going to want them back. So, by bringing in these Bournemouth for the doubles, or Luton even, who play also the double and in 29, is that enough to kind of go to justify it? And this is why also that ties in with the chip strategy, sorry. So, do you do that? And do you wildcard to bring in the players to have enough for 29? And then you book in the transfers technically for later from I don't know, that, for example, the prime wildcard time people think is 30 and 31. That way you can maximize, the doubles coming up. You can have City, all these sort of things. And in a sense, that is team dependent, but it is also what's the best use of what the chips you have. If you don't have a free hit, people might be more prone then to wildcard because they can't get to certain players without hits. If you do have a free hit and a wildcard, you maybe even want to save that free hit anyway, as I say, and wildcard after. So it is kind of, it's a tricky period to kind of decide because of this double that's kind of before all of we've got double before a blank. We've got then doubles afterwards. Spurs is good short term, but then they have a terrible little run before maybe potentially doubling. It's an absolute cluster. Word beginning with F, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your kind of outlook on it, Chaz? Maybe it's a bit clearer. Maybe you've got an actual plan, right?
I do have a plan, but I felt that plan has probably just started now, as opposed to many weeks ago. Because if you started planning once the FA Cup fixtures just got started generating for future rounds in game week 29, you would miss on a lot of points that are in front of you from sides that could potentially blank down the line.
Yeah. So one thing I want to point on before you carry on is that if you look at the game week 30 fixtures that you've got there.
Let's do it. I'm more than happy to. Let's do it.
If you look at those, Chaz, now look at the amount of good fixtures, more notably for the likes of Brighton. For Liverpool's a good fixture at home. Man City also then play against Arsenal. City play Arsenal, which isn't a great fixture for them. But what I'm saying is that realistically speaking, having City for that game isn't that bad. Say, for example, if you've got Haaland. But if you look at the other fixtures, Newcastle have a decent fixture. Chelsea play Burnley. That's probably the standout one in a sense, because everyone's going to want to have Palmer for that fixture. But if you're taking him out, if you say wildcarding or something, or you're transferring him for a double or something like that, then you're booking a transfer to get him back in. So yeah, like it almost feels like you're taking players out that you're going to want after game week 29.
So this is the trouble, I think, for free transfers heading into 29 is that you're going to lose team value. For example, in my case, I could potentially get rid of Haaland. That's 0.5 from him. Dominic Solanke as well. But Solanke's fixtures afterwards are crazy good. Until game week 35. That's the issue at the minute. And they look so good for the next 2 weeks, but they blank in 29. So that's more swerving towards playing the free hit.
Yeah, but if you look at that, as you said, Burnley away, then they play 2 home games, then they play another home game, then they play another home game, and then it's Luton away. Then it's Luton away. I mean, like, it's great. It is really like, it doesn't need overthinking in that sense that you're going to get Solanke, right? Regardless, because of that.
Yeah.
If you want to load up on the defense, say you want a Neto, you want a Senesi, and so on.
No, I'm not confident in the defense at the minute. Our goalkeeper is interesting, but so Bournemouth have 4 consecutive home games because Tom Lockyer went down on the floor.
No, well, he didn't just go down on the floor. Like, I know what you mean, but it sounds.
I can't say in terms of why, because that could
be because of the situation, right? Yeah,
because of the situation.
Yeah, so like, this is the issue. Like, you want Bournemouth, you just want them, right? It's just too good.
He's out of form. I don't mind Semenya. I think he looks explosive. He's just inconsistent.
And not only that, he's a forward in the game. So, your spots are already probably taken up by if you want a Morris, if you want Watkins.
Injured or not. This is a very interesting time period because we're just discussing before we went on air. Press conferences are occurring around this time. Eddie Howe's being done, and to be honest, it should have been cancelled. Absolutely useless for guys. And he compulsive lied about Anthony Gordon's fitness 3 weeks ago.
He's basically saying it could be an issue with Botman, but what that tells us is he's starting.
Yeah, of course he is. You got Guardiola's, Pochettino, and Postecoglou's. Postecoglou's will be big for Porro and Udogie. Gary O'Neill's later on for Hwang Hee-chan. And while we're looking forward to Andoni Ariola's press conference later, Reedy.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Solanke. Apparently he's had an MRI.
That guy, Dominic.
He's had an MRI.
Oh.
I mean, if he's out for this week, right, it's not ideal. It's not great for people who own him. But then, if there is an issue with his knee or with whatever it may be, does it put him out longer term and risk for that double? Do you then just ignore him? Because, afterwards, after the blank, he's got 3 great fixtures still, so he might be back by that point. We've got, not to forget, to anyone who might have, ourselves included, I suppose, we've got an international break between game week 29 and 30.
Yeah.
So, there's a kind of 2-week break there before game week 30 games are back. So, could you then look at getting Solanke in afterwards?
You could afterwards, but I feel if he's ruled out for 28 especially, I'd get rid of him. And considering my philosophy is, I'll just say it now, I'm building with free transfers for 29. I'll just go straight to Ivan Toney.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that move. I think that's absolutely fine. You could do that if you've got the money to do that as well. No problem. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think one thing to look at, which I know we haven't mentioned yet.
Look at the transfers in.
The transfers in, and the most transfers in and the most transfers out this week.
Any surprises here?
Well, that man Solanke you were actually talking about is
flagged. Yeah. Son is now rose to second, overtaking Salah.
Yeah, Son was actually the 5th most transferred in yesterday, and people are now kind of stepping that up and going for it. So no surprises for the transfers in, right? For me, anyway. No. I don't see.
Douglas Luiz being so high. To be honest, I thought it'd be 6th or 7th.
Oh, I know. You know what happens though, don't we, Chazza? When a player absolutely bangs and gets a double-digit haul. I mean, you know what? There's one player on there in that top 5. I'm actually surprised after what he did. He's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on the list, and that's Jared Bowen. He plays in 29. He's just scored a hat-trick. He's got Everton, then Burnley. Good fixtures on paper and so on. So I'm actually surprised that Bowen isn't higher. We might find before that he is. But yeah, no surprise. I think transfers out. We love a knee-jerk, right? And I mean, how many people brought in De Bruyne when that double or for that double for City? And now, well, I'm not bashing people, by the way, because I know you're one of those guys, right? You brought him in for the double?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now people are like, nah, we don't want Kev. He's no good to us. He's dead to us. Get him out. He's the most transferred out, considering they've got Man United this week who...
I just feel it's a fixture worth holding on to for him.
Give him that extra 2 games, right? Maybe give him, obviously, 2 big games for City, United and Liverpool.
Yeah, you give him United, I could understand before heading the trip to Anfield. But he turns up to every big game he plays. But getting Son, I think this is the right week to get him in before game week 29. Of course, you get him in game week 29. But Palace at home is such a good fixture for Heung-min Son.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, what you're kind of hinting at is, okay, De Bruyne turns up for the big games. You've been burnt by him the last few weeks. You could just go, okay, well, you know what? Even if he does get points, I'm gonna get Son anyway. He's cheaper, so you get some money from that. What have you kind of got to lose from that move? How do you see it? Because I mean, they play Arsenal in 30, right? City are blanking in 29, then they've got Arsenal. Minutes wise, Son is going to get more minutes than De Bruyne, 100%. It's just that the question.
Yeah, I think he'll probably get more minutes than De Bruyne. I agree with that. And even so, his position may improve because I heard from. Not heard from, but on Twitter, there seems to be a rumor that Richarlison got injured in training.
Yeah, I did see that as well. I mean, that, if anything, might be better for Son, isn't it? If he plays through the middle.
He's better for Son.
Plays through the middle. Listen, focusing on the top transfers out this game week, I could kind of get De Bruyne, but I don't see why he would be at the top necessarily. It just does feel very knee-jerky. If Alvarez was up there, then yes, 100% would understand because people are going to be going Alvarez out, Solanke in, or Højlund out, Solanke in, that sort of thing. But the other guys like Jota, who's out for 2 months, Porro, who might not be back yet, I can kind of see why people would do those.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. That is just so much to go through. So we know the FA Cup results, injuries galore. Solanke's been mentioned. Hwang Hee-chan, we did mention it earlier. I don't even remember. Did you mention it?
No, we did. We did. It's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. I mean, Colm's pointing out there exactly what I said about an MRI for Solanke as well. Doesn't look good. But I think same situation with Hwang, really, if he's come off. due to a hamstring. We've seen what hamstring injuries have done to players this season. There's been plenty enough of them. It probably doesn't look good. So that move in itself for me last week was fantastic because I'm either going to leave him on the bench or I'm going to take him straight back out. But yeah, it is a lot. Today's press is obviously a massive. We don't probably get anything from Pep. Get much from Pep. Not that we need anything because we know Haaland's there now. Foden, generally he'll be starting the games. Alvarez could be the issue and the danger of him.
Got rotated for the first time last week.
Yeah, getting rotated in De Bruyne with these big games. Now, will he start instead? Other than that, outside of that, I mean, people have got Walker, maybe a Diaz. Klopp is probably I say it's a big one. I mean, we play Forest this week, then City, and then we blank. So Salah being one of the most transferred in, would you be happy if Salah is back, say? Do you think he's good to have for these next two fixtures?
I think so. Yeah, if it wasn't for the strategy I've got now, I would have happily owned Salah. What I like about owning Salah, especially this period, is that he's a really good Gameweek 28 captaincy option. He always seems to perform exceptionally well whenever he's at Anfield against Manchester City. We've seen it in seasons go by. He would have been my favourite captain option, to be fair, for next week.
Yeah.
He wouldn't captain Haaland away at Anfield, which is why I think a lot of people are intending to get rid.
Yeah.
Next week, will you be one of them or not?
Well, saying that, you're saying about Salah being a good captain option. I mean, surely it'd be Solanke with a double, right? If he is fit.
Yeah, that's true.
With those two home fixtures, maybe even I don't know, some people might be bold enough to go for a Carlton Morris, but West Ham, against Burnley at home is a nice fixture. But yeah, I can, Salah against the big teams, against City does normally do well. But yeah, I think as you say there, I think it's difficult with the strategies moving forward. He is probably someone that you'd want to get a little bit further ahead in time, especially when we know the injury update, obviously. And not only that, Chazza, you can't have them all, can you? I mean, if you want Saka, you want Son, you want Haaland, you want Salah, you're going to have a cheap-ass defence, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot to have a think about. We've got a question from Will here too, if it does show. 6-ish to 29, it's a similar boat that I'm in. Areola, Porro, Moreno, Richarlison, Bowen, Watkins. 3 threes to get me to 9. Good enough to fade the free hit 29. I think so. What about you, Reedy?
I think 6 is, it's decent enough.
He could get up to 9.
Yeah, I mean, like that's to say, you could get up to 9. I think 9 is more than fine for
I think so.
29 and save the free hit. The only worry really that you'd potentially have would be maybe Moreno. If Digne does play instead, I'm in that boat, so that'd be potentially one less player. But generally, it should be okay. Your Bowen, your Watkins, and then you get obviously. I don't know if Will's going to go with Son, but he's saying 3 threes could get me to 9, so I'd imagine he'd probably go there. Another question I wanted to bring up. I think Colm asked, which team can you see keeping a clean sheet in game week 29? Defenders
Arsenal.
Into 29? They're blank, Chaz.
In 29, yes. So I got this.
4 fixtures, right? 4 fixtures. We've got Burnley, Brentford, Luton Forest, Fulham Spurs, and then West Ham Villa.
I actually don't see anyone. If it's anyone, like closest, I think it could be Brentford.
Yeah. I mean, I think Spurs are more than capable of keeping a clean sheet. Against Fulham.
So messy defending. Fulham are good at home too.
Yeah. I mean, a Wonder Boy. We know who that is, right? Mr. Reguilon, who plays for Brentford. I think he's going to be quite a popular pick for 29 people. And he has been quite attacking recently, almost like in that Henry role since he's been absent, and Reguilon came in, and then Tony came back. So it was kind of like perfect timing. But I have to not agree, but Colm's question is a good question. I mean, defenders literally look pointless, play on words. But yeah, another question I seen from John which was, if you're trying to catch up with rank in the 1.5 million range, would it be best to prioritize players like Foden, Palmer, or double game week 20, flash 29 plans? What do you think on that one, Chazza?
I think it might be. I think Foden, Palmer might be best to prioritize them for some reason.
Okay, so when you say, I think with John's question, he's talking about a double game week, 29, obviously having doublers for that 28, having players for 29. What do you do then with the likes of Foden and Palmer, who, have decent fixtures in the meantime, don't get me wrong, but both blank in 29? Bear in mind, Foden does play Liverpool, blank, Arsenal.
Actually, just looking in this isolation now, I think I'll have to 180 what I just said. I think it might be best to just go with the double game week players, get as many points as possible.
And another question in this is something you mentioned to me earlier about Cole Palmer, and you actually said it about Haaland with value and so on. A lot of people, myself included, have got value in Cole Palmer. He's got a great fixture in 30. I think we said he plays Burnley at home. He's got a good one. Is it next? Oh, no, it's Newcastle at home. But this week they play Brentford, right? Could Palmer be a hold and then maybe go one less in 29 if you have to, and just basically keep Palmer even if you bench him?
I think keep Palmer the whole way through.
Especially with Chelsea, looking at having doubles at some point.
Yeah, I think for the double game week players, if you're trying to look at that in isolation, there's not many standout midfielder options. I wouldn't even classify Ross Barkley as a standout option. He's just more, I'm going to pick a player and have a laugh. He's been good.
Yeah. I think Foden, really, if you're going to sacrifice anyone, like out of the two, it'd be him.
That would be him.
Not this week, though, right? If he plays United this week,
no, he wouldn't this week.
You'd want to keep him. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Colb says, Muniz says hi, Reedy.
Rightly so. He's been very good recently.
He has indeed. Almost like filled that hole of Mitrovic, who was great for Fulham. He's actually been decent lately, Muniz. On to a couple of other things to discuss, Chazza. And I suppose we could tie it in with our teams in a way, like chip strategies, so on. Should we head to what we're looking like for this week?
Yeah, let's do it, man. That's what I'm thinking as well.
Get in there, son. Get in there.
Yeah, get in there. Indeed. A few managers are wildcarding at the moment too. Do you see that being reasonable, especially for those that could have Richarlison, Wayne, and maybe Solanke?
Oh God! If you're wildcarding at the minute,
tough questions.
I'll tell you something, and like I have got a chip strategy in mind in terms of before 29.
Yeah,
I am in the position whereby I've not got a free hit. I used mine in 18. Stupidly, I wish I still had it. I mean, would I still be using it in 29? I don't actually know anyway. But obviously, if I didn't have that option to use it or save it for like doubles later on. But wildcarding this week just doesn't make sense unless you've got a load of injuries, flag players, and some players that you don't actually want that aren't great for these next few games. I could understand then that you're going to wildcard, but I don't think it's genuinely worth it. I think if you're going to do it next week, I'd wait a week for sure. But even then, it's still tricky because, as I say, if you're getting rid of players, you're not going to have City in 30. You're not going to have any Liverpool in 30. You're not going to have any Chelsea in 30. You're literally not going to have 2 out of 3 of those teams who are the best 2 teams in the league. So it's but let's have a look at your team then, Chazza. Let's see.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were pressing the buttons there. 1 free transfer, 2.8 million in the bank. We've still got to wait on Solanke news. I'm not sure if I'll make the move to Tony this week. It's probably best to just buy some time and roll with the transfer. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, and just rolling 3-4-3.
Yeah, and then you've got no plans to kind of wildcard before 29?
No, I don't think before wildcarding, before the blank. I think 30 may sound the optimal time. I may wait till later on, but I want Haaland and Salah as quickly as possible. So it's an interesting one. I have considered De Bruyne to Son, but I prefer heading to game week 28 when it's a double to have 2 free transfers to try and exploit the avenues as opposed to just one.
Yeah.
If I had 2 frees this week, I probably would have got rid of De Bruyne for Son and just rolled the other. It's an important time where you can to roll.
Yeah. And I suppose press conferences are key in a way to maybe what you're doing this week, right? Because say Porro isn't back and say Pau is also out. In that situation, do you just basically play Taylor and just, still roll your transfer?
It's interesting. I think
sorry, my bad. Sorry. So Solanke could be out as well. So say if Solanke, Porro, and Pau are all out, right? In that case, then you probably just basically play Garnacho and Taylor. I mean, it's not great on paper, is it? But
it's not great, but it's still Fields and 11. For Solanke one, that would be such a bummer if he's out this week. A real bummer. I don't know. So it's not a great fixture for Garnacho, but his fixture at home to Everton next week is a cracker. If he had Everton this week, I'd be happy with as it is, should the injuries come about. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sort of thinking that if Solanke's out, we know if he's out for the next fortnight. Go straight to Ivan Toney.
This week?
That's what I'm thinking. Chelsea, he is a fixture-proof player, Ivan Toney is.
Next week he plays Arsenal as well?
Yeah, he can score in that one too.
Can he?
Yeah, he's done before.
You don't mind him doing it?
No, I don't mind him in that game either.
I'm only saying this because you're an Arsenal fan, Jazan, and he plays you.
Yeah, I look at it from fantasy perspective as well. As much as we're good from a set piece, Ivan Toney's a very good footballer.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hopefully, you never know. He might be an Arsenal player next season. But yeah, so when you look at your team now, if you've got 3 out, it does maybe then change your mind on making that transfer, right?
Yeah, more inclined to make the move, but I don't want to move a City asset. That's a thing.
Well, yeah. So say you get the confirmation that Solanke is out. He's out this week. He could be out next week, or he's going to miss minimum one of those games next week. You basically just basically move him out and get Tony in for that 29 fixture.
Yeah.
I mean, would you get Solanke back then after the international?
Yeah, I would on the wild card in game week 30. I reckon his price could drop.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, do you like your team for this week for the most part? Would you say?
I do like it. Yeah, I think there's some good fixtures there.
Nice.
Except the goalkeeper situation. I've hated that all season.
Yeah, right. I guess so. I mean, I've had Areola and Leno.
I think the Doughty pick on field picks for itself because I don't think this is the right week for Powell to go on field. Luton are good at Kenilworth Road, and I know Taylor scored it against Bournemouth last time out. So who knows? Yeah.
I think you're probably not really expecting much this week from defenders again. Similar to last week. I think that's going to be the same for most of us, unless you've got double Arsenal defence. We've got the best fixture out of everyone. So if you have got Saliba and Gabriel, you're probably laughing at the moment. And then, whether it be a Dogie or if people have still got hold of Trippier, and then even a Branthwaite could keep a clean sheet for Everton. You just never know. A lot of people.
Actually, sorry, the other option for Solanke, I completely forgot. It raised my head. Carlton Morris or Luton forward.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. You've got Morris who doubles next week, who then also plays in 29.
Yeah.
Senesi is the one I wanted to ask you about. Has he come into your thoughts at any point? Like he's on.
He has, but I just feel like cards is a bit risky, and I'm not attracted by Bournemouth's defense.
Yeah. Senesi this week. Would you say Senesi can wait then? Given you've got defender issues, right? Say you kept Solanke. Say you just kept Solanke instead, and you took out Pau, and you brought in Senesi, who plays this week, Burnley, gets the double, 2 home fixtures, and then you kind of keep hold of him for the next however many weeks. Which is a better move, in your opinion, Senesi or Morris?
I think Carlton Morris, because if it's Senesi, then I'm more inclined to play the free hit chip to potentially make up ground. But I really don't see much upside in the free hit in 29.
Yeah. And how many players will you have for 29?
So right now I've got 6. If I use all my free transfers, it's 9. If I go for a hit, it's 10. But it's a team value thing that gets tied up, especially in the front line. Watkins is obviously not going anywhere, but it's coming from Solanke and Haaland.
Yeah. Makes it really tricky, and Palmer potentially. How long have you had Foden for? I'm guessing it's quite a while, right?
Since before the Newcastle game in January.
Wow. Okay.
Been a while.
Yeah.
He
started out at
7.8. I got him. I think
7.5. Was it? Was it 7? 7? I thought it was 7.5 for some reason. Maybe it was 7.
Yeah, probably could have started at 7.5 for the season, but I got him at 7.9.
7.9.
Viewers, welcome to my transfer list analysis type of thing.
So I bought him at 7.6, and he's now 8.1, and I could, so I guess 7.8 if I sell him.
Yeah, that's right. But that's kind of my team for the week, and there's not really much I somewhat need to discuss. Reedy, have you got yours ready to go?
Let's get it up. That's what she said. So let's get it right in there. No more waiting around.
Get me started.
See what mess we've got for this game week.
We really are pumping this on 66 minutes into a podcast. Yes, Will Shaw is spot on. This is the most team-dependent moment. Great question, Eddie. I really like the questions. Let's go through your side.
Yeah, so this is how I'm lined up for this week.
Okay, firstly, can I make one change?
Oh, yeah. Captain?
I think you should swap goalkeepers. I think Leno should go on field.
No, right?
You don't reckon?
No, I mean, 1, it's Everton. So I'm happy if Areola keeps it clean even more. So, and 2, I've got Pascal Gross in the team. So, I'm hoping that Brighton don't shit the bed and basically do what they did against Wolves, even though they were actually pretty decent. And I'm going to keep this little gem of a player in my side. I benched him for the 10-pointer. Hard times. But, other than that, I've got his 11, I've got his 8, and I've got his 7.
Great pick, mate. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, 6.5. I can't ask for any more. So I am going to go for the Titty man in net instead of Leno. There has been a few close shaves whereby Leno's nearly kept clean sheets, and I've been like, oh, God, why didn't I pick him? But, yeah, I mean, if anything, this week, in contrast to you, Chazza, I do actually have a benching headache for defenders.
Yeah, so I've had a look at this. Adogi, I think, might actually be all right for Saturday, so I'd field him. I hate this so much. Moreno, Gusto, and a Stupa Pasta.
Yeah.
Well,
this could end up either being points on the bench. Like, I don't know. It could end up being just an absolute load of crap.
Oh.
Like, I'll be honest. I mean, Saliba's a given. I feel like Adogi's a given. I mean, and then for that final spot, I've got to pick between Moreno, Gusto, and Estupiñán. Like, what the actual, hell is going on with that? So, do you think Moreno is the right pick in this case?
I think so. Yeah, there's a weird part of me that thinks that Gusto may get a odd assist. But I think Chelsea concede. I think he got it right, to be honest. Alvarez is the interesting pick in the derby. Probably a differential too. Oh, how much money do you have in free transfers?
You want to see how much I've got stacking in the bank?
5.1. Wow, you could do a few things about this, couldn't you?
I could do this, indeed. I could do this one in one move.
Sexual headache.
Nope. No betting headache. Alvarez goes to the bench.
Alvarez got an assist. in the Manchester derby in the reverse fixture.
He did, but I mean, look at his points thing the last.
Yeah, it has not been good at all.
You look at in terms of what his minutes are played as well. Look at this. He's not got the 90, 15 for the Bournemouth. De Bruyne's obviously
5.1.
like he's okay at the minute. 5.1 leaves me $1 million in the bank. Or alternative to that, I could do this.
Alvarez out.
And I could bring in Dom Solanke.
Dom Solanke, yeah. That's an option. I did think of that.
I still have 4.6.
As the injury concern. It's a good shout. It takes the doubles.
I've still got enough for this move also. You know, I can get Son and Solanke if really.
Oh, mate, that is cooking. That is so cooking.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think personally,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I could roll this week. I could actually, in fact, I mean, if I really, 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 really wanted to, although it doesn't feel that great, surely you play Alvarez, and I could go for this. You know, I could just go for like crazy defensive thingy. You know, put Alvarez on the bench, hope Estupiñán finally gets his haul that I've been waiting for like, I don't know, first 2 game weeks he came back, he got 6 and 6, then he got an 8. I got his 8 points actually against Wolves, and then he's just been absolute AIDS. You know, 39, 90, 10, 45 minutes played. Brighton, obviously doing Brighton. I mean, even in a 5-0, right? He played 9 minutes. Like, it's just so bad. Yeah, so is this the week where I go, okay, come on, Estupiñán. You get your start finally, you get something. Like, there are loads of options for me this week. It almost feels like 2 options, especially defenders-wise. But I could roll that transfer, and I could have 2 for next week. Bring in Solanke then, if he's okay. I could just get Son this week in one move.
So
what am I doing? What's going on, Chaz? I mean,
there's some great avenues you can go. My question is actually, before I go to any live transfers for you, while you sort of mull over your thinking, big news just coming in. No Salah to be featured against Nottingham Forest. Jack Grealish will miss as well for Manchester City, having limped off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, interesting, because is Salah actually injured more than we know then? And if so, does he miss City? Or is Klopp just trying to basically muddle through with what we've got? We've got enough sort of attackers, I guess, with the kids playing in the cup and so on. And then all of a sudden, Salah just comes back fresh and Darwin for City. Yeah, man, it's big. It is big. And also, I think Grealish not being fit and stuff, like, that's not great for Haaland, is it?
No, I mean, it's not.
I mean, KDB is great for Haaland, so KDB is better than Grealish is for Haaland, in my opinion, because no one else can see those. Whereas as soon as Haaland makes those runs, KDB just goes, right, there's the plate, mate. I'm going to put it on it for you. So I don't think that changes too much in that sense. But yeah, man, this dilemma I've got, I just do Son. I've got 29 in mind. By the way, I don't have a free hit. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 players as it stands for 29. Obviously, I can make transfers, but we've got a double before then as well with Bournemouth.
Yeah, you could go Luton. That might help. I want to ask you, are you going to do any live transfers?
I'm not, Chaz. I'm sorry to disappoint, mate.
Sorry, such a disappointment.
Yeah, Will's made a good point there. Estupiñán playing 90 in the cup doesn't feel great.
Not at all. It does not feel good.
I have to kind of agree. Gusto, probably not a bad pick, but then Brentford at home. I've probably just about got it right. The only thing that worries me is, like, after what Moreno did last week, got his -1 against Forest, basically was just an absolute terrible pick. I brought him in actually in game week.
It was before the Sheffield United game.
I brought him in last week. I brought Moreno in last week.
Did you?
So I brought Watkins and Moreno in last week.
Yeah.
And that's what Moreno's gave me. And now he got subbed off, and Digne, come on. You know.
All right. I've got a suggestion for you to do live if you want it. Hey, Chan to Heung-min Son.
I know you're saying, like, do it live and stuff, but, you know, I don't. You want some juice, don't you, Chaz? You want me to make the move, but listen, son, I've got to catch up to you. Don't forget. So every move counts at the minute. What I will show you is, and this is something that I've been thinking about doing.
I've been thinking to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yeah. So I've been kind of thinking of possibly wildcarding next week. We were talking about chip strategies and so
28,
on.
Jeez.
And I was thinking of doing that with 29 in mind, with the double in mind. It's kind of basically attack those fixtures, albeit it's Bournemouth and Luton, right? And then look at bringing players back in, like, Palmer's, Haaland. They're probably the biggest two. I need to then get Liverpool. I mean, Salah being out, if anything, is fine for me, because I am planning on getting Luis Diaz at some point, because I think he's looked absolute fire. I think he's been one of our best players, and he does look great at the minute. So let me just share this screen, because currently you can't see this one. So I'll just bring up this wildcard team.
Bring it up. I want to give a hint to the audience: the biggest Captain's Corner edition so far this season. Stay tuned in a few moments.
Yeah. So this is I say this is how I'm looking. Where have you gone? Morris, Bowen, Salasaka. Definitely have got a plan. If it loads it up for me, I don't know what's going. Oh, there we go, Chazza. There we go. We're cooking. So this is the current wildcard draft for game week 28. Saved it. But Neto in goal, double. Senesi, Gabriel instead of Saliba, Doughty for the double. I'd have Saka. Keep hold of Saka, obviously. It's a no-brainer. Bowen would come in, double Spurs. I'd have Morris, Solanke, all the good stuff. But in the meantime, I'd also have a Villa, another Spurs, and then, a Brentford player. Kaminsky has a double, but that's more for 29 to have him, because most people are probably going to have Areola, right? Yourself, I think, included. So the reason to get Kaminsky is Neto blanks in 29. So I'm kind of then covering myself with Kaminsky, who plays Forest at home. That's my kind of thought process at the minute. I mean, this is how I'm looking for 29. Bear in mind, by the way, just to talk about value, I'm getting rid of Haaland. I'm getting rid of Palmer. I'm getting rid of Foden. All this value, basically, I'm kind of losing, aren't I? And that's the tricky part, because this is me for 20. This is me for 29, basically. Solanke goes out, and I'd basically have 11, for 29.
So with these free hit 29 drafts, I've not seen a single Nottingham Forest player. Is anyone tempted, for example, by Taiwo Awoniyi or a Morgan Gibbs-White?
They are a little bit of a spicy, different pick, aren't they, compared to, what
they are playing in that week. Luton's not playing against the window, or they've got the bye.
Yeah. I mean, so people that are free hitting in 29, you're saying, why aren't they getting a Forest player in, for example?
Yeah, I just feel a bit odd. I mean, I get with the Morris picking 28 and you may as well hold them throughout, but I don't know, Taiwo Awoniyi looks good for Forest at times.
Yeah. I mean, they've got good fixtures as well, even after 29. They've got Luton, Palace, Fulham.
Yeah, that's pretty good, to be fair.
Spurs is a bit tricky, but then they play Wolves, Everton.
They've got something to fight for in survival too.
Yeah. I mean, but who, as you said, Alanga, Hudson-Odoi. I mean, for me, it's different though, right, Chazza? Because I'm not free hitting. I'm kind of wild carding to then have, you know what I mean? So that sort of thing. So if I was to wild card next week, right? Forest play, who did they play next week? Brighton, right? Would I want a Forest player for Brighton?
Not for next week, no. You just get them for 29 and then wildcard after. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So, I mean, so for me, I could do that if I'm wildcarding next week. There's no reason why I couldn't go. Say, for example, I'm planning on getting Salah or something like that, right? instead of Richarlison, I could go for what we said. You said Morgan Gibbs-White or I don't know, like an Alanga or something like that, right? They're cheaper than Richarlison, much cheaper. Well, Morgan Gibbs-White definitely is. But if we go to Alanga,
1%
how much is Alanga? There he is, 5.1.
Yeah, I reckon Gibbs-White is the best midfielder pick. Menawanya as a striker, and there's no one else that really interests me. Maybe sells to save points, but that's only for 29.
I mean, even Alanga, right? Like, he's not done too bad considering.
Not too bad, yeah.
So if it lets me anyway, if I go to, say I go to
I believe we've got to the point we're talking about Nottingham Forest players 18 minutes into a podcast.
This is your fault. This is where we got to, Chazza, because you started talking about Forest being an option in 29. I mean, where's Chris Wood when you need him, right? I think he's injured. But
he's nearing a return, according to Nuno's presser today.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be good, actually, Chris Wood.
Well, Alanga's cheaper, right? He's 5'1", not by much. He's probably, I would say, more explosive than Gibbs-White. And he's actually scored more points than Gibbs-White as well this season. So, say, for example, for argument's sake, I was, do you know what? I'm feeling like a differential. The issue is I'm going to go Doughty at the back for the double. Sorry, not the issue is. So, right. So if I go to 29 with Alanga, I've then got Alanga vs Doughty in that game. So I think it's like you're either going to go one or the other, probably not both. What it does do, though, it does give you a hell of a lot of money in the bank, especially without Haaland, right? So, yeah, it's an option, right? Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think, for me, considering what I've got planned, I'm probably going to do that move.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All good.
What do you think anyway, the wild card? Let me know. What do you think?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm getting to a point of time now in which I don't think my mind is currently at 100%, but I reckon go with it and see what happens.
Yeah. You're the cogs are ticking, aren't they, Chazza? But or the lights are on. The lights are on, but no one's.
Yeah, that's right. We've got to. I wish I could just talk more. I could fall asleep, but I don't want to at the moment. I'll go straight to Bonus Bank, giving a mention, our sponsor every week. Fantastic free tool to help FPL managers edge their mini league rivals on a weekly basis. Their Bonus Bank tools displays the probabilities of clean sheets for each side and which player is likely to score. This is useful in determining the best defensive picks and consider assets are likely to score this game week. So, of course, as always, on a weekly basis, we give Bonus Bank a plug. Fantastic for us in what they do. Is it time for Captain's Corner, or are we still on Morgan Gibbs-White?
I think one thing to mention before you do Captain's Corner, just on Bonus Bank as well, Chaz, is that it can actually help you in FPL. So not only in terms of beating the bookies, great tool that you can use for FPL to help you make your picks, whether it be defensive probabilities, the clean sheet probabilities, scoring, stuff like that. So yes, definitely worth a shout out to them. But I think you want to mention some captain picks for this week, right, Chazza? So
I've got loads. You wouldn't believe it. I've got not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, 6, and half of them coming from the exact same side. Let's start with the usual headline act in Erling Haaland. I'm not quite the Man City announcer in the stadium, but he scored a mammoth 23 points at home to Manchester United in this fixture last season with a hat-trick and 2 assists. Scored 5 goals on Tuesday at Kenilworth Road and scored 16 points in the reverse fixture at Old Trafford in October. And yes, I somehow attended that game. Kevin De Bruyne is the interesting one too, but most transferred out, but could well be a popular armband choice. He's had 2 goals and 5 assists in his last 4 starts against Manchester United. Must not discount his 4 assists that he got on Tuesday away at Kenilworth Road. Phil Foden had a hat-trick in this fixture last season in what proved to be a City 6-3 win over their Manchester rivals. Scored at Old Trafford in the reverse fixture in October. Rested midweek, which is good for his credentials in terms of starting on Sunday. And he has also achieved a team high 45 points in the last 6 game weeks. Bukayo Saka, who loves a cheeky, spicy Monday night pick, say no more. He has scored 7 goals and amassed 59 points, which is the most of any other player in the game in the last 6 game weeks. This also includes 4 double-digit hauls in the last 5 league matches. Sheffield United have conceded 5 goals in each of their last 3 home games across all competitions. If it ends being another 5-0, who put the ball in the Sheffield net? Half everything team did. It could be one of those nights on a Monday. Heung-min Son at home to Crystal Palace. He's had 8 goals and 2 assists in his last 15 league appearances against the Birds of South London. He scored 10 points in the reverse fixture in October at Selhurst Park and has delivered 6 double-digit hauls this season. At 16%, he could well be an overlooked option for the captaincy. Last but not least, Ollie Watkins. And firstly, on this guy, I'm not sure who many would have predicted it this time of year. He's got the most fantasy points overall of any player in the game today this campaign with 170 points. Not quite the Luke Littler 180, but if he gets 10 points this weekend, he'll hit the bullseye. In addition, got the goal and an assist last week at home to Forest. In his last 2 away outings, he scored 18 points and 13 points. Luton have conceded 19 goals in their last 5 games across all competitions. And, sorry, Maverick, one last pick. Is this... So I think this is 7 options. I thought it was 6, but there's 7. Anthony Gordon at home to Wolves. If you're going so Maverick, you don't really care about your rank. You're just here for a laugh. Gordon could be your man. He's only had a solitary blank in his 13 home appearances this season. He's had 7 goals and 6 assists on his games at St. James's Park, which equals 88 fantasy points, the 3rd best record of any player in FPL this season. Back to you guys in the virtual studio.
Back to you guys in the virtual studio. Oh, Jazza. 7 captains. I think your head has actually fell off this week, right?
It's just fallen off.
Yeah, just get the Burger King guy in here just laughing at us. But that is ridiculous. Ridiculous in amount of captain choices and picks and so on.
Who are you going for?
Jesus. I mean, these are the type of weeks whereby there's too much choice and you kind of...
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You can't decide. I'll say this, right? The obvious one and the safe pick is Haaland because he's probably going to have the highest EO. He'll be the most captained. Closely followed by Saka. Although the Spurs fixture is great, at home to Palace, people are looking at the options like Son and so on. I think that people would probably prefer to go for Saka. Just one thing to say, though, about that. Now, is it possible that Saka could only play a certain amount of minutes in this game? It is an easier fixture. Bear in mind, I don't know. I mean, Arsenal just scoring goals for fun at the minute. So who's to say that he gets an assist or a goal, comes off after 65, 70 minutes? It's always going to be a risk against Haaland, who's playing at home, who's just scored 5. I mean, I'm going Haaland, probably, Chazza. I'm going to be boring, right? What about yourself? Are you going for Starboy this week or not?
I am thinking spicy Starboy. I can't lie. Very tempted. Monday night would be a good finish as well. But I'll probably Haaland. I just think his record speaks for itself.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I have been a little bit... I don't know. You asked me at the beginning of the stream, beginning of the pod, saying, have you enjoyed the season? Are you maybe still enjoying it? That sort of stuff. Going Haaland captain lately has been rubbish. I'm not going to lie. It has been rubbish. Not maybe because of his returns. Obviously, Bournemouth, he got an assist, so he got his 10 points and so on. I triple captained him in the double game week. He got 30 points. People were hoping for more. I captained him. He got 26 points in game week 24, which was actually pretty good. I can't lie on that one. That was decent. He got 10 in game week 23, which was a little bit meh. He got 2 points, right? So in game week 22, he might have been actually the game week he came back after injury. Burnley, 3-1. He got 2 points. 2 points. As captain, which is crazy. So I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit bored captaining Haaland. Should have went Saka last week and mixed it up a bit, or maybe a Watkins, but yeah, it just feels silly not to captain him this week, right?
Yeah.
There's spicy captain picks to come though, right, Chazza? There's plenty more time for that, yeah?
Plenty. Hell yeah.
Plenty. But yeah, any more topics to kind of discuss? I know that you're probably running on empty at this point. It's getting a bit late for you. Anything else that you want to cover or go over?
Don't think so. No, it's been a long podcast, 90 minutes.
And on that note, then you ready to wrap up? Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Go for it, my son. Go for it.
All right, that does it. To everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. All the best this weekend, and may your arrows be green. And Reedy, thank you very much for tuning in.
All the best, everyone.